Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. She is a spiritual advisor. She's a natural-born clairvoyant. And just before we jumped on the podcast today, I just learned something I had no idea until like seconds ago. Donna Edwards is back with us, and we're going to talk about that. Donna, welcome. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm well, thank you. And how are you today, Steve?
Very well, very well. You know, I had no idea, but at this time during Lent, because you are a practicing Catholic, you do not call out to spirit. You just don't do that until after Easter. I'm hearing this right. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. It's a holy time, and that actually we don't ask for anything during this time. It's mainly giving up something, making some type of sacrifice. So that would be basically my sacrifice. I don't have anything else to give up. Like some people give up pop, some people give up, eating meat or something like that. But that's something that I don't do because I'm normally in a sacrifice most of the time.
Wow. Um, I've never heard that. And I've talked to other spiritualists and mediums, and
Mhm.
they're Catholic too. So maybe they never told me, but I had no idea. So you wouldn't ask spirit for answers or God. But would something come to you out of nowhere that you would share with somebody during this period?
Well, yes, it's my work is a little bit more deeper. Actually, I'm a caseworker. So that means that during that period of time, I wouldn't do actually any casework. That means I wouldn't try to work to fix something for someone. Spirit is going to always speak with me. It doesn't make any difference when or what time of the year or whatever. They naturally just give me answers on anything. I don't have to ask for it. They just bring me the information. So some things that maybe I'm not even aware of who this person is or what they do, I just write it down because sooner or later there may be an event that I might meet the individual actually face to face, or it might come out on the news and I'll look back at my notebook and say, hey, I got this on March the 22nd at 2 p.m., this information, and I put the year down. But normally during this period of time, I don't ask for anything spiritually.
Interesting. Wow. And that's always been your entire life?
Yes, my entire life. I
Wow.
was, I'm Catholic. I went to Catholic schools basically all of my life. And if anyone else is Catholic, they know that there were certain things during this period of time that we would normally do as a Catholic. So I just follow that because actually I'm steeped in the religious part, but the spiritualist part is on top of that. So my foundation has been Catholic, but then it's this spiritual part of myself that adds to that. So that's kind of like my bylaw that I follow, and I kind of keep with that.
Can we look at that for a second, just to better understand it? So your foundation is Catholic, but on
Yes.
top of that, you have the spiritualist part of that.
Mhm.
And is would you say that that's kind of the code that you go by, when you talk about the spiritual part of it?
Yes, because of the way Spirit has revealed things to me, even when I was inside the church. So let's say if I was in a Catholic church, definitely it's a highly spiritual place. Most Catholics, they have statues of saints and different things like that. So normally what would happen was that maybe one of those saints would speak to me or a spirit would speak to me inside the church. So that's where I got pulled a lot of my strength from. And that's when I was at a very young age. I mean, I'm not in the church right now saying sitting there, but what I'm saying to you, that's how it all kind of began for me.
Wow. When you look back over all the years of connecting, doing readings, getting something from spirit, has there been that one time where you just said, how did I even get that? And something that was validated, it's something that blew you away.
Most of the time, yeah, especially when someone comes back to me and they say, you told me something 10 years ago and you probably don't remember, but this happened to me. And it's like, oh, because at the time that I'm getting that message, I don't remember. And that's why it's very important that the person on the receiving end remembers exactly what I say to them, because a lot of times I won't remember the message. And
Hmm.
most of the time, that's where the person has to come back. You said this to me. Or if it's something ahead of time, let's say, I'll write it down. Of course, it's already written. So I'll have it for myself. So yeah, most of the time I'll say, wow, this, you said this happened. I'm like, yeah, okay, great. But I don't know at the time. I just know that I'm getting the message and I deliver it.
I like to call that psychic amnesia, when somebody's getting a reading and they're like, nah, I don't know. I don't know Uncle Vinny or anything like that. And then, 2 days later, a week or whatever. Oh, that's what she was talking about. Do you experience that a lot with the people that you do
Well, I
readings with?
have to, because the thing is with me, I can't hold that information. I have to release it. So I have so much information coming through spirit. I probably would be crazy if I kind of held it all up in my head,
Hmm,
you know? And
sure.
so what I have to do, I let it go. So I'm not really concerned with what spirit is giving me at that point in time. I have to release it. So that way I only remember the important things. And I would say important things pertaining to myself because I can't read from myself. I have to remember exactly what spirit says to me at the time that they give me the information.
Yeah, well, we talked about that last time we got together,
Mhm.
where I guess the best description is you have no filter. If you're getting
No.
something, you're sharing it.
Yes.
Good or bad, whatever it is, somebody's going to get that message because it
Oh,
was intended for them.
definitely. I'm going to deliver the message. And I think that's why the spirits keep working with me because I don't hold the message, even though it may be something that's not too sweet to
Mhm,
give. I give
mhm.
it anyway. So that's why they keep coming with the information.
When somebody connects with you after Easter, uh, do they immediately get information from you, or does it take some time for you to, pull that all together?
Now, what I try to do at that point in time, they may have a concern that they come with. They may have their own concern, but spirit may redirect me into really what the concern is. Because a lot of times people don't actually want to tell the truth. They come with something else.
Hmm,
But for me, because spirit gives me, there's no hidden filter with the Lord. In other words, he gives me exactly what I need to give the person. So I'll redirect it. I'll come back around to maybe what they may be concerned with. But I usually hit exactly what it is that's the condition or whatever the situation is first. Then we can come back to that because it may be second or third on their plate.
what they wanted to hear.
Yes.
Okay, got it. But then again, there's never any guarantee that somebody is going to get the information or the connection to somebody maybe on the other side. It's whatever's meant to be is what's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And usually, that's how it works. But if it's someone trying to come through and they've been trying to communicate with this individual, and half of the time, those spirits have been trying to communicate with their loved one, they do come to them. But what it is, as in the human aspect, we just say, I think that was my imagination, or I didn't hear that, or I thought I heard something. And so they deflect off of it. And so that's why, because you really don't need a person with my ability. If they pay attention, they'll know that that's that Uncle Vinny coming through.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever get something after a session where you're reading somebody, whether it's virtually, whether it's in person, the session's over and hours later, day or whatever, something comes to you? Has that ever happened, or it's only when you're in the moment with that person?
No, because normally what happens with me is that spirit hits home so quick with me. The information comes very rapidly. So I cover a lot of areas in a little short period of time. I really don't miss anything. At that point, I usually open it up to see if they have any questions. But when I say, what question do you have? Because I'll even get a question mark. I'll get something off of their mind at that point in time that they weren't, but it comes. And I'll say, what is your question? So really what I want to say, because they give me the information so quickly and so fast, I cover everything initially in the reading. I just open it up at that point to say, do you have any other questions or something that concerns that you may have that you didn't understand? And I open, but mainly most of the time people tell me, I don't have any questions. You already answered them.
Hmm.
And that's how I like to read. I don't ask anybody anything. I don't have them give me if they've got 20 brothers and sisters or nothing like that. I just go with what I get from spirit. And then we can come back around and discuss whatever else they want to discuss.
Hmm. Has have you done a reading and it's freaked somebody out to the point where they were kind of blown away?
Most of the time, yes,
Yeah.
because they don't know how I get the information. I get a lot of questions, but how did you get that? No one knew that. That was something no one knew. And so, yeah, I get a lot of that. But the only thing I can tell them is that the Holy Spirit gave me the information. I couldn't get it.
Is
It's
that where
not
it's
me.
coming from? And when you say the Holy Spirit, is it for you? Is it truly God connected?
Yes, for me it is. I don't have to go through. angels or saints or anything. When the spirit first came to me and anointed me, basically, I saw who my guide was at that point in time. It was kind of alarming because, I didn't know really what was taking place. I was a young child. But as I went on, the Lord spoke to me and said, "You don't have to go through anyone else. I can go directly to Him. So I don't need anything like, it's fun sometimes to say, oh, I'll call on maybe Saint Michael or something like that. But I really don't have to do that. I could just go to the source."
Hmm. It's like you have a hotline to the top.
Right.
Hmm.
I do.
Did you realize that you had that long ago?
I learned that I had it when maybe I was maybe 3. And
Okay.
then at the age of 4, I was giving them messages.
But did you know, or what age did you know where it was coming from, that it was really coming from, shall we say, the divine?
Well, I never questioned it. And I think that was the best part. And like I said, I remember at the time when I was in grammar school, we had to go to mass every morning before we started class.
Wow.
So I'd
Okay.
be sitting in the church, and this was many, many years ago, and that, I would be sitting there waiting for the priest to start the mass and everything, and then I would get all this information coming through. And at that time, like I said, it was scary because I was a young child. And then I realized that when I went into the church, it was kind of difficult for me because the energy was overwhelming for me. So a lot of times I remember I used to get sick in church. I used to pass out. But at that time, I didn't know it was the spirit that was making me pass out. I just thought, so early in the morning, it's cold in here, you know, and I looked at it like that until later on I finally figured out on my own that this was what was happening to me.
Wow. Um, and that's as a kid. How do you even
Yeah.
process that as a kid?
Well, it was kind of, I had to understand something because the more spirit worked with me, so they made me understand what was going on. So this was not something coming from another human being, you know, this was coming directly from the Holy Spirit. So the more they talked to me, and that's, I would say, they groomed me, the more I understood, they shed light on me. And so they didn't take me fast because there's no need of me giving me information that I don't understand. They had to make sure what they were giving me originally that I did understand that information. And as I made progress, of course, they were giving me more and more and more.
Hmm.
So it comes faster, it comes quicker, it's sharper.
As life has gone on, do you realize that the messages are, did they progressively get sharper, clearer as you did these readings?
Yes, but not, I think I'm at my top at this point of
Hmm.
where I'm gonna be because everything is very clear. It's like looking at a photo, just like if you looked at the photos behind you, then for me, it's like spirit would show a picture. You can see it. So I'm not saying that they can't give me more, but I think as far as the strength that I have spiritually, I'm pretty strong.
Can you read somebody's energy?
Well, that's what I read from.
Well, what I mean by that is when somebody's before you, do you pick up on their energy? Are you getting, you know, are you really, are you able to tell who they are and what they're projecting, their energy that just around them?
Yes. Okay. So you're using the term energy. So energy is, to me, is spirit because
Okay.
spirit
All
is
right.
energy. And so it's just the either the ectoplasm that's around them, but that's what I'm reading from. I'm reading from, I say it's their spirit, but we could call it their energy because energy to me is spirit.
See, I don't do what you do, so I don't look at it that way. But
Uh-huh.
I truly believe that where everything is energy, we're all energy. We have different vibration. Some days we have high vibration. Some days, not a great day. Maybe the vibration is lower, and that's what I was referring to. But you're saying when you pick up on that, that's really spirit or their spirit. Would you say it's their spirit? That
Well, that's what I do.
okay?
So what I want to say to you, because I even get with your spirit that you're pretty intuitive yourself. So in other words, I'm picking up on your spirit, which is your energy. It's just what terms you want to coin, okay? And that's what I read from. I'm not reading from your flesh because most of the time I never see these people. I don't know who they are. Like I don't know if they really who they say they are, but I'm picking up the spirit that walks with them. And that's going to give me all of my information that I need for them.
And that being said, you could somebody could call you on the phone and you could do a reading without even seeing them.
Most time I don't see people.
Yeah. Well, the reason I'm bringing that up is those who are skeptic call it a cold reading, meaning that the clairvoyance medium is looking at somebody's face and picking up cues in order to continue the reading. And that's my point. Sometimes you're not even looking at their face, so there's no way you could do a quote unquote cold reading.
No, most of the readings that I do now, I don't I don't do like Zoom readings or anything like that. They can call, I'll respond, make the appointment, and we'll do the reading. And the reason why is this. Most of the time when I've sat in front of someone, oh my God, it's hard for me to get rid of them. The reading is over with and they don't want to leave. So it's like they get kind of like attached to my spirit. So it's easier for me just to do the reading and try to release them at that point, and then that's it.
Hmm.
Because 9 times out of 10, I've been in group settings where they wanted group readings, and like, people are just astonished and they don't want to leave. They feel good. It's because what not only do I do the reading, there's some healing there also. I do more multiple things at one time because someone may be in that room with a condition. So they usually normally feel better after the reading because I'm doing multiple things without even telling them that's happening at that point in time. I'm making them feel better about what's going on.
I'm going to ask this question on behalf of many of us, but I've heard before that I'm intuitive. I've been
You
told
are.
that. Um, and thank you for saying again, validating it.
Hmm.
I feel to a point I am, and I'm more in the last 2 years in my journey in life. I've started, picking up on things, but I don't feel that I can harness whatever intuitive power that is. And I think we all are intuitive. Some of us a little bit more. Some of us are able to block out other things so they can focus in. What's your advice, based on that, and for others that have heard that and feel that they're intuitive?
Okay, so what's going to happen is this. When we come into this flesh, we're conditioned in the human aspect. And so this is the first thing we go to. I feel a certain way. Oh, I think a certain thing. We go that way. Or I thought I saw something. But what you're going to have to do is reverse all of that and put spirit first and pull a human aspect to the back seat. So you got to put the spirit in the driving seat and put the human aspect in the back seat. So what I want to say to you, you have to recondition your thinking. And that's the only way that you're going to bring your intuitive part up to the front and push the human aspect to the rear. And it's a lot of thought process. And I want to say thought process because I usually tell people don't think. Spirits don't think. Humans think. The flesh thinks. Spirits don't have to think. So you just have to get your mindset saying to yourself, if you want to make yourself stronger, because you probably don't even know the possibilities of the things that you can do.
Sure.
And because you don't know that, it's because you're still in the human process of thinking. So what you have to do is kind of sit for 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever's good for you, and try to push that human part to the back and let your spiritual part come to the front.
Hmm. I know what you're saying, and I have a friend who uh, has qualities similar to yours, and when she wants an answer, she says she meditates. So if I even throw her a question, and we're close friends, I'm like, yeah, what do you think about blank? She'll text me back, all right, meditated on it. Here's your answer. So kind of what you're saying is just, kind of blocking it all out, pushing in deep thought, the human stuff out of the way so that the intuitive stuff can come through.
Right.
Hmm.
And it's a process if you're not used to doing that.
I
I'm
know.
just lucky. I had it as a kid, so it's a natural. I don't have to. My conditioning was different because as a child, you don't have things. You're not thinking about bills. You really don't think about food. You don't think about the day-to-day things that take place.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's same thing like don't laugh, but even animals. I feel that they can pick up in your energy and they're in tune, very much in tune. What do they have to worry about? Plus, not to mention the fact that they're always on their paws, typically dog, cat, are touching the ground. They're always grounded. So,
Yeah,
we're
they
not,
are.
so I think that all of this comes into play that makes them very intuitive, where they can pick up on your vibe. You're having a bad day. You might not even express it. They know it. They feel it.
Yeah,
Watch
they
them.
do because animals have spirits.
Yeah.
They have a spirit. So they kind of condition according to the owner. They can pick up on the owner's spirit and then they have their spirit. So if the owner's not feeling too good, 9 times out of 10, that pet is going to stay very close by because it knows that you're not feeling a certain way. because they're picking up too on the energy level. So they have that also. Everything has got a spirit.
How does it, how would you interpret? Let's say you have a thought about something and you're thinking about, let's say, a situation and how it's going to go down, how it's going to play out. Okay. Um, and your mind just keeps coming back to one outcome. And you don't know why, but it just does. Like, yeah, I think it's going to go that way, or I think this is going to happen. Is that really your intuition coming through? And now we're overthinking it. It's like, really, I don't really know, but come back to that same answer again. What do you feel about that? I get that a lot. I get that a
Well,
lot.
what I want to say is this: I have to remove myself out of this situation because I don't think that's something that I don't. That's bad. So
Hmm.
since I don't think, I don't have to repeatedly go back and forth. Now, for instance, I've been following the mayoral type thing that's getting ready to take place. And if spirit keeps bringing me the same thing 3 times, the same answer, to me, it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So I mean, this is a done deal. No matter what happens, that's the answer. So I've made a connection where spirit will let me know that there's different signs, like for you, when you're sitting and you're doing your meditation or whatever that you do, you could light a candle and you could ask that candle to raise that flame if it's a yes, or to lower the flame if it's a no. But you have to speak that in order for them to communicate with you. And then you could sit there and ask that candle a question, and that candle's wick will rise up, or the flame will rise up, and you'll know that's your yes answer. So, what I want to say, like if you're trying to figure out something intuitively, then that's you can ask for a sign.
Hey, interesting. And the candle thing, I've never even thought about that. So that's one way to reasonably ask for a sign, just looking.
Well, there's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now, just meditating or looking at, let's say, a candle. Got one sitting right up there. To think about it, and you think that if a certain answer may, through spirit, give you a brighter, maybe an elevation of the flame or something, any kind of sign. Just ask for a sign. Is what I'm saying.
Yes, because what you're going to do, you're going to use your spirit, and you're going to condition the spirits that are around you. You have spirits that are with you, and you probably don't work with those spirits. But if you keep going and you're meeting those spirits at the same time every day, they're going to wait and they're going to meet with you. Just have to be patient. So, what you could do is bless your candle, light that candle, and put your petition, whatever you're asking for, on that candle, and ask at that time for those spirits to give you a sign, and let them know if they raise that candle 2 times and that flame jumps twice, then that could, depending on what you're trying to find out, because some things are not just cut and dry yes and no. You
Yeah.
may have a couple things on it, and then you just tell them, and you sit there, and that candle will speak to you.
So we're talking about a candle. Just it's random, hypothetical here. Along the same realm, pendulums. Do you feel that they're give you the same kind of outcome if you concentrate on it as spirit?
Well, because I don't use a tool, for me, I wouldn't use a pendulum. Now, I've been in places where I've dealt with people who do witchcraft,
Hmm.
basically, and they use the pendulum and they market it. And I've sat through ceremonies with them just to go through the ceremony with them to see exactly what they do. For me, when I was in that ceremony, it still doesn't change anything. The spirit is still speaking to me the whole time. So, what I want to say, whatever works for the individual that's doing it, I can't speak on that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I only know what works for me.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your insight and learning a lot here today about all of this. And it goes back to what I always have believed in, and I've witnessed it that I was more since I've been more in tune with it in the last couple of years is ask for a sign and you'll get it.
Yes.
And I get them. And, I'll ask for my mom. I think I mentioned that before. And I get them, but I just don't ask just because it's when I really need an answer. I really need an answer. And sometimes I'll just say universe and mom, it was mom. Somebody once said to me, it's the divine or whoever talking through her and providing it, whatever. I don't care as long as the sign comes
Right.
and it's specific. There
Yes.
are some skeptics out there that will say, "Oh, come on, no, no, there's no other." Like you said before, when you do a reading for somebody and they say, "How'd you get that?" There's no other way that answer could have come unless there's something there's something powerful, spiritual happening.
Yes, and usually that's what it is because I can't say. I always tell people, there's no way I could get this information
Right.
on my own. I can't. It's not me. I can't do it.
Yeah.
You
Not
know,
like
and
Donna
who?
is sitting there Googling somebody or you're looking on Facebook while she's doing a reading. Not happening. And you're not even looking at their face. You're just, providing whatever comes through.
Right.
How does somebody reach you? They want to, do a reading, learn some more. Again, people, disclaimer here, because of Lent, after Easter is when you're doing readings. But would you talk with somebody before that?
Yes, I mean, spirit. Sometimes they've told me this person needs help, and I have no problem with it. The difference is that the reading is nothing to me because it's nothing that I have to. It's not that. It's simple. Okay, it's just that I don't do any casework during this period of time. That I have to pull it from different sources. So that means that I'm not going to do that during this period of time because that's a lot of extra work. So a reading, it just comes off the top. I mean, that's just standard for me. But I can be reached at my website is www.spiritualistdonnaedwards.com. You can call me at 888-424-6980, or I can be reached, you can email me at spiritualistdonna@gmail.com.
Fascinating. And Donna, thank you. Learned a lot today.
And thank you.
It's always, it's part of my journey and others, when these little nuggets of information and even the fact that, for me personally, people say I'm intuitive. I'll never be even close to what you are. I don't choose to be. But it's nice to know that we all have a little something, but we need to figure that out. Or you will. We'll get that
But
done.
you never know. If you keep working at it, you may be as strong as I am.
Well, you know what? I always say never because, I can't ballroom dance, but if I put my mind to it, I probably could. It's all of that.
Well, just keep working with your sight because I know you can see. So just, be free to see whatever you see and acknowledge what you see.
And have faith in it.
Yes.
Have faith. Donna, thank you for being here, and we'll catch up next time, okay?
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.